It's a wonderful day in West Virginia. Welcome to the Daily 304 Innovators and Entrepreneurs feature. Here at the Daily 304, we are committed to sharing the wealth, beauty, opportunity, and innovation that's here in wonderful Almost Heaven, West Virginia. Twice a month, we introduce you to innovators and entrepreneurs and dig a little deeper into their companies, their work, their purpose, and the reasons they are here in the Mountain State and proud to call themselves West Virginians. Today, we are joined by Sarah Biller. She's a key player in the cutting-edge world of FinTech and the Executive Director at Vantage Ventures. Sarah Biller, thank you so much for being on the Daily 304 with us today.
Andy, it's such a treat. Thank you for featuring all the innovators and entrepreneurs in the state of West Virginia.
Absolutely. Sarah, I know we're in a short format show, so first of all, I'd love for you to explain to our viewers and listeners what drives you at Vantage Ventures and what do you do? What's the main purpose of the organization?
Yeah, let me start, Andy, with what we do at Vantage Ventures. We are an initiative of the John Chambers College of Business and Economics at WVU. John Chambers envisioned that we could actually operationalize the idea that West Virginia could truly become a startup state. And a startup state in his mind, and now ours, is one where we are working with those entrepreneurs who are in the state of West Virginia, as well as you mentioned, those that we're seeking to attract who are building capital efficient, scalable companies. And so these guys and these gals are building in the high tech space, and they're really across all industry categories. You just would be amazed at the untapped tech talent that we have and that tenaciousness that define West Virginians to grow ourselves and grow these startups. What we do for them is we support them with a really tricked out office space. It's very cool. It's what you might expect in a larger, more urban area. We provide programming that it runs all the way from functional expertise. How do you really take your company from its formative stages and grow it? What might you expect, for instance, from a term sheet when an investor invests in you? All the way through to illustrating where we've had other successful entrepreneurs in and outside of West Virginia and what they've done to grow their companies. And the last thing we do at Vantage is that we provide a really tight network of individuals and companies who want to hear from our entrepreneurs. They might want to be customers, they might want to mentor in a business setting, or they might even want to invest in our companies. And I think we all know West Virginia's secret sauce is no matter where you are in the world, if you meet another West Virginian, they always say, how can I help?
And in that work and in that space that you've created where that energy is there in Morgantown, what kind of hurdles do you see people face? And what are the main hurdle that you are helping them overcome?
Yeah, and I actually think it's a threefold set of challenges that our entrepreneurs encounter. The first is that entrepreneurship it's really a muscle that you develop, right? It's the highs and lows every day of taking your idea to market, of seeking customer adoption, of actually getting your message out. So, embodied in that is really one of the hurdles we have in West Virginia is telling our story, which is why this podcast is so critically important because we have great entrepreneurs. The second challenge that our entrepreneurs face beyond that sort of management of that high and low is the idea they need investor capital. And so it's no secret to anyone that historically venture capital at least in the country, has really been isolated on the two coasts. And we're trying to close that gap, really recognize that we have investable, scalable companies and attract the investors into the state. And we're doing that in spades. And then I think the third challenge that our entrepreneurs face just persistently in West Virginia is one of talent. And it is not that we don't have the talent. In fact, it's one of the country's best kept secrets, but you actually need a team around you. It's very hard to be a single founder. And so I think that some of the challenges that we have faced and what we've tried to solve for across the past 3 years is to help others in the state see themselves too as entrepreneurs and really a critical part of this new economy that's rising up.
What a great amount of energy that must be coming out of those great offices in Morgantown. For you, Sarah, could you just give me some insight as to what's so special for you about living and working in West Virginia, and what do you see happening with the people that are staying here and growing themselves and practicing and practicing those skills and those muscles? What's so great about being here?
I think what motivates me is the entrepreneurs who are tackling the hard problems every day. I've been that entrepreneur. I know you can't give up when you have an idea or problem, when it so engrosses you. And that again is just, it's basic 101 when you grow up in a place like West Virginia, where you have to be hard scrabble to survive. Mm-hmm. And so I'm just thrilled that we have a chance now to bring those experiences, again, motivate that capital, bring people like John Chambers and Brad Smith, who themselves have been extraordinarily accomplished back home to really nurture and care for this existing group of entrepreneurs and those that will follow them.
When you have these folks in a room, or you're coaching, or you're helping to guide or to give resources to or support, there's two questions that I would ask you. One is there a baked-in competitive advantage of being here in West Virginia? And if you could just share just one nugget of insight, and maybe it's that grit that you just talked about, that you just keep going. What is the competitive advantage to being here? And then if any advice that you could give the innovators and entrepreneurs that are watching and listening today, what would you give them? What nugget could you give them?
Yeah, let's tackle, Andy, our competitive advantage first, because I think we are just we're unexpectedly cool, by the way, of West Virginia. I think, you don't oftentimes think about coming to West Virginia to build a technology company. And I would tell you the atmosphere, the energy, the outdoors, for all the reasons that individuals are increasingly moving to West Virginia, one might consider that a competitive advantage. That's certainly very obvious, but the non-obvious competitive advantage is something that we've known as West Virginians our whole lives, and that's the sense of community that exists and rallies around these entrepreneurs. You never really build a company by yourself. I know we're all infatuated with the single founder story like Steve Jobs or Mark Zuckerberg, but the reality is, a startup is a combination of a lot of contributions from a lot of people. And West Virginia in particular has a very strong sense of community. So the competitive advantage for West Virginia is that you can actually fit people around the table to help advance your idea. And I've built 3 companies in a different ecosystem, and I promise you, I had to knock on a lot more doors than I have to in West Virginia to get help.
You've got strong community, alignment, momentum, energy. We have Sarah Biller in Vantage Ventures, and it's a great place to be. So thank you so much for your time today and all of that insight. And I know my goal is that the folks that are listening and watching go and try to learn more. So what is the quickest and easiest way for entrepreneurs, innovators, anyone that has an idea that can connect with you and your organization, Sarah?
Thank you, Andy. They should go to vantageventures.io. We have a community tab, and we actually have a pretty easy form. It comes directly to me and our team, and we get right back to you. We just ask you to tell us a little bit about yourself, and we are with open arms ready for entrepreneurs to come to West Virginia and be supported.
Open arms, livability, it's all right here. So Sarah Biller, thank you so much for spending this brief time with us. Watch for more in the future, and just thank you again for all you're doing for Almost Heaven, West Virginia.
Thanks, Andy.
And thank you for watching. Be sure to follow us on all our social media channels at The Daily 304. You can also stay up to date with all the great things happening in beautiful Almost Heaven, West Virginia by heading on over to wv.gov/daily304. Subscribe to our newsletter, our Spotify channel, on Apple Podcasts, or our social media feeds. We'll see you next time, and thanks for joining us today.